So I'm having a chat with Dustin of Thrice. How are you?
Doing good, man. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure is all mine. And we are about to be playing a new single of yours called Albatross. Tell us a bit about the single, first of all.
Yeah, I think it's one of my favorite songs on the record. Like sometimes I don't know why, but there's certain songs that you can kind of hear where they're going to be at when I'm singing, fake lyrics and just finding the melody. And then other ones, you feel like I think once I like nail down the right words, it's going to come together. And this was one of those where uh, once I got, in the studio and sang the actual lyrics, it just kind of transformed and leveled up a bit. Tepe, our guitarist, was engineering it too, and he was like, "Man, that really like that shifted for me. Like it, I don't know why." So that was interesting, but yeah, I feel like the song has a really cool energy and I don't know, some different movements than stuff we've done before with the way the chorus moves and stuff. But yeah, it's taking this idea of the albatross, which has kind of become a symbol of bad luck because of the associations from the old poem, the ancient Rime of the Ancient Mariner. But that only happens because the main character kills this albatross that is their good luck omen. And so it's kind of taking it back and saying, or looking at that as a whole and saying, like, there's certain times that something that is literally our good luck charm, like we destroy it ourselves and it becomes this curse. And I think there's a challenge there to not fuck things up when they're going your way. Yeah, we're our own worst enemy a lot of the time, which I definitely know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, that is certainly the case. And that track is coming off a new record of yours called Horizons West, which is out 3rd of October. What can we expect to hear on the record?
I think this is about as good of a idea of like this song, and it doesn't all sound like this, but I don't know. I feel like it captures some of the energy of the record. I'm really excited with how it turned out, the mix and everything. We used the same mixer as the last two records and mastered, but it for whatever reason, this one I feel like just leveled up a bit. And it just feels like I think it's the best sounding record we've ever had. Yeah, but there's some fun stuff on there. We have another song out already called Nash that's kind of heavier than stuff we've done in a while, both with kind of some screaming stuff, and then there's like double bass in the end, which we haven't had in 20 years. So I think there's certain things that come out on this record that and maybe will continue to come out in future stuff, but us revisiting both the artist in the ambulance and the illusion of safety, which had their 20-year anniversaries, a couple years back. And we were playing shows around those, and we re-recorded the artist in the ambulance, and it was a good way to reapproach some ways of playing that we haven't been engaged with for a while, and letting those feel um, fun and interesting, and not something that we felt like we have to do this because someone expects us to do it. So there's been a little bit of a full circle on that of, we're always trying to incorporate different influences and things we're excited about. And there's kind of a cycle of repicking up of some of that, which is cool.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. And the sound that you made with this record, is it the sound you wanted, or was it kind of just how it turned out while you were recording it in the studio?
Uh, I mean, the sounds, as far as like the tones and everything, are definitely what we wanted. I think the character of the songs is definitely something that always sneaks up on you a little bit because I think the main problem for us, or the challenge for us, is we have all these ideas and we all write and collaborate together. And so when we're making a record, there's probably 120 ideas that we're sharing that we're trying to figure out which of these do we actually pursue. And so you're trying to find which ones is everyone excited about. How do you take one that you're excited about and kind of get everyone to get on board with what's happening, or at least what your vision is for it. And there's a lot of that of trying to figure that out. So that's hard. And then I think the thing that was unique for this record was the actual time that we were in the studio all together, like trying to hash out what was going to be the record was only about a month, and we were in there, like every day. And I think that short time period helped keep a lot of the um, when you're first playing a song together, like there's things that come out that when you don't really know what you're doing, that there's a lot of interesting stuff that happens. And so we would record as we're jamming and listen back, like, oh, that was cool. And we didn't have enough time to really, beat it to death. It was we were able to be like, oh, that was cool. Yeah, go with that, go with that. And I think really lean into the fact that we were going to finish it in this time period and not overthink things. And to me, at least, that really comes through. There's a feeling of kind of an immediacy or um, I don't know the best word for it, but there's definitely a life to it that I'm really happy with.
Good, good. And how does this record compare in comparison to your previous records, especially as there's a Horizons East out there as well?
Yeah, so this is kind of a companion piece to that, and there's a variety of ways that it ties in, whether thematically or like the last song on each record, are definitely companion pieces. There's little kind of Easter eggs buried in there. But I think, especially compared to that one, for whatever reason, this one, um, it has more energy. There's kind of a interesting patience to the last record, which I like. There's a lot of space, and this one has a little more just push, even on the more slower, mellow songs, I guess. And then another thing that's fun about this one, I think, is that because we had this idea of having these companion records, but we were originally going to have them come out a lot closer together. We ended up realizing we needed to kind of reset, take a break, and not just push forward just because we had the idea of doing two in a row really quick.
Mm.
But it gave me time to really think about how I was going to theme this towards the West, and really, I think it's the most kind of thematically consistent record since the Alchemy Index for us, for lyrically. And so that was a lot of fun, and essentially the whole thing is taking um, the setting sun as like kind of this overarching metaphor that gets played with and dressed up in a lot of different ways throughout the record. So it's fun.
Yeah, nice. And I'm sure you wrote more than what's made it onto this record. What happens to those now? Do you consider them again down the line for your solo work, or is it a case of writing for specific projects or bin them off? What happens to the tracks now?
So as many, we have tons of ideas, but we almost never finish more songs than we are putting out. I don't know if I think we're just very um, critical as we write. So it's and the fact I think it's different than when you're like doing a solo thing. You kind of have more full ideas. You're like, yeah, that can be a song. When we're all combining stuff, it takes a while for it to turn into something that's like, all right, yeah, this is a song for us, and then more work to actually get it to the finish line. So we don't hardly ever have like full songs lying around, but the problem is, we have just hundreds now of like ideas that could be cool that are just sitting there, and we're gonna generate another hundred and whatever for the next record. And so there's just tons of stuff that never gets used, and you get used to just like, I don't know, that's
Mm.
fine. It's just gonna sit there. I mean, it's not like you can run out of songs. There's always something there. So yeah, no, nothing that we did not put out on the record that got completed. So
Cool. Yeah, nice. And when it comes to the writing, side of things, how do tracks normally start off for you?
For Thrice, it's uh 99.9% of the time is music first. And it's usually some piece of movement or a riff or a beat. There's something that's kind of just hooking us on its own and that starts interesting the other band members and we'll start to piece things together. Sometimes it's just I think because I'm the lyricist and the singer, I'll have a little bit of more of a defined like okay, I've got this melody too and this kind of movement. But it always comes back then to like everybody collaborating, everybody bringing more ideas into the picture and letting it develop from there. And then when I'm writing lyrics, I'm really trying to tell a story that mirrors the story that the music is already telling, and let that be a pretty strong guiding force there.
Yeah, nice. And when it is writing time for you, are you writing for the specific project itself, like Thrice or your solo work, or is it a case of writing and then seeing where it will fit after that?
Um, it depends. Well, so like the beginnings of almost everything is just trying to stay aware of the little things that are flashing through your brain and what's catching you. And so a lot of it starts with just voice memos for me. So uh, those are usually fairly clear if they're gonna like maybe go towards something for Thrice or something for my solo stuff. And so a lot of the solo stuff will start with me, just sitting around with an acoustic guitar and be like, oh, that was cool. A lot of the Thrice stuff will be just some random thing going through my head that I'm going, okay, boop, boop, beep, bop, and then into my phone, and then later trying to figure out what that meant, which is usually I can't. But every once in a while something sticks with you. Yeah, so there's a trust in knowing that like I don't know quite what this is gonna be, but uh it's here in my head now. It's there's something compelling about it. So like for instance, there's a song in the record called The Dark Glow, and there's this really pretty quiet part in the middle of it. And so Riley had this part on, just guitar, and it's really quiet and tender. And I heard it and I was like, oh, that's beautiful. And a melody came to mind. So I just recorded myself singing over that and then left it and didn't know if anything was going to come from it or what that was going to be. Um, and then, that ended up being the melody of that part. But I think there's something more powerful about capturing that than sometimes going back and be like, okay, I need to write a thing on this now. And, I could write a ton of different melodies, but something about when I first heard it, capturing what it inspired me to feel is important. And so if you can capture those little things, it's like you're essentially gathering material that you can use to build something later.
Yeah, yeah, nice. And some good news is that you'll be heading back out on tour through October and November across the States. I bet you can't wait to be on the road again.
Yeah, it's always a lot of fun to play new stuff too. I feel like for us, the creative act is really what drives us to keep doing this. And there's a sense in which the real completion of that creative act is performing the song live. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah, good. And there's US and Canada dates kind of booked in at the moment. Are you hoping to add some more in this year? Is that the idea, or is it just this for now?
I think early next year we will be heading overseas. So that is the general plan. There's no solid dates announced yet, but can be looking for some.
Good, good. Is there anywhere you've not been to yet that you want to get to at some point?
Um, I don't know. We keep trying to get back to Japan, but it's just the numbers don't crunch very well to just not for flying really far away and whatever, to not just come out of there and maybe lose money or, or break even. So, um, and we're trying to get back down to South America too. We've only done that once, and it was a ton of fun. But the timing keeps not working on that, so that's where we're trying right now.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, Dustin, it's been a pleasure having a catch up with you.
Thank you so much.